Good morning, everybody. How are you? I'm just going to do a super quick sound check, which I always like to do. Let's figure this out. We can do this. Yesterday was a holiday, so it feels like today. Oh, there we go. Got it. Let's see. Let's turn off the sound though. Perfect. Okay. So I'm in my home studio today and not with Fran. So I'm sorry. I know many of you love to see Fran each week. She is doing fine. My kids have dentist appointments and we need to leave in just a few minutes. So it was just easier for me to stay home and have my kids, and then we'll just leave as soon as I get done chatting with you guys this morning. So that's what's up with why I'm home, and all is well at the store, and all is well with Fran. So I'm gonna not chit chat for a long time this morning, and just get right into what we're going to talk about, and so that I can get moving on to my next appointment for the day. So sorry for the double booking a little bit, but I wanted to talk today a little bit about paper piecing. Oh, I wanted to show you my bag too. So paper piecing is a way of piecing quilt blocks or piecing, units or whatever that gives you some advantages. Now, there are some disadvantages too. Some people love to paper piece. And to be clear, I'm talking about foundation paper piecing. Sometimes you'll hear some people talk about English paper piecing. English paper piecing is something different. It's also beautiful. It's also lovely. It's more of a hand sewing process. Most of the time, I have seen people machine quilt it or machine piece it, but it is a different process that you use templates, and you wrap fabric around the templates, and then you hand stitch those together. It's beautiful and lovely. I'm talking about foundation paper piecing. So some people absolutely love it. Some people don't love it. I am one of the camp of people that love it. So the reason I love it is, the biggest reason I love it is it's accurate. It is completely accurate because you are actually sewing on a line on a pattern. And so I love it for that reason. You can also get really cool angles. So this is a good example of really cool angles where you would be very hard pressed to get angles like this or even like this. Or, these are angles turned in to make it look like a curve. Look at these. So you can get angles really, really well. And I've shown you this quilt. I'm not going to show you the whole quilt. But do you guys remember my blue quilt? This quilt's huge. I'm just showing you a portion of it. But this right here, this diamond, was the unit that I was making. And I can't remember how many pieces are in a unit. I wanted to say there was like 50 pieces in a diamond. And you just can't get those angles with traditional cutting or even piecing. So, and the other reason to paper piece, there's probably more than this, but these are the reasons that I wrote down, is to do tiny things. So this was a tiny sew along that I did with Juicy Juice and Allison Glass. Juicy Juice designed these patterns. And I believe there's 12 of them. And then I saw online someone else who had taken these and put them into this bag. This is a by Annie pattern. And I even have, my pockets on the inside are even some of my extra blocks that I had. I couldn't fit them all on the outside. So, this is such a great, retreat bag. And I really, really loved it. I also love piecing really, really tiny things. So I don't know if you can tell how tiny these are, but these are really, really fun. And I cannot remember off the top of my head who the designer is of this, but I will link these patterns as well. She didn't have this put in this particular setting. I just did this setting myself. Yeah, it's really, I really, really enjoy it. Now, I mean, paper piecing these tiny little things, this would take me as long as a 12-inch block sometimes, because you're doing these tiny things. These blocks here, I mean, this is a lot of fabric pieces. It's not a lot of fabric, it's a lot of fabric pieces to do these, but you can get such really cool results. I mean, look at those flying geese. Look how fun they are. So that's why you paper piece in my mind. Now, the disadvantages to it are it takes extra time. So if you were just going to paper piece some flying geese or paper piece something else, and you could do it traditionally, or you could do it paper piecing, it will probably take you longer with paper piecing. It's just a little bit more of a process. Also, it does use a little bit more fabric. You do have a trimming process, and it uses a little bit more fabric. So just be aware of that. Now, however, when you're doing tiny things like this is a fabulous way to use scraps. A fabulous way to use scraps. And even if you just liked one of these and you wanted to make it into a coaster or a small wall hanging or something like that, you could use scraps so easily and just be able to use it. So I wanted to tell you about a couple of tips that make paper piecing just really useful for me and effective. Now, I will be teaching a paper piecing class, a basic paper piecing class at Village. We're just nailing down the date. I want to say we're shooting for May, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So I will let you know when we do schedule that class for anyone who is interested in paper piecing. It is not going to be the teeny tiny stuff. I did teach this class at Village a while ago, and it's not going to be that, but it is going to be basic paper piecing. And to me, it just really makes sense in my brain, but it is a little bit of a different way of thinking. And so for some people, they really struggle flipping a little bit into paper piecing mode. And so I will teach you how to do that. So that is coming up, but I wanted to give you a couple of tips that really help. The first tip is actually a program or a download that you can get. So it's called Triangulations, and it's by Bear Prop Productions, and I'm going to link that actually for you right now. So I will tell you, we do sell a CD in the store of Triangulations. Now, what we're finding is that most people don't have CD drives on their computers anymore. So this link that I'm giving to you is for a download, and it has a lot of different options in that download. So if you had a pattern that was not written as paper piecing, but you wanted to try some of the things on paper piecing, it will do half square triangles, quarter square triangles, half square triangles up to 7.5 inches, quarter square triangles, tamed flying geese. Now, tamed flying geese are flying geese that are in a line. Okay, so a bunch all together. Okay, like this. This would be considered a tamed flying geese unit where they're all in a row. And those ones go up to 7.5 inches as well. And it also includes some really pretty quilt patterns. And the Triangulations is formatted to print on 8.5 by 11 paper. So you can print as many copies as you want. You could just print one copy of a particular size that you need. It also has some weird sizes. So if you ever have to do a weird size flying geese or a weird size half square triangle. So I printed this one off just to show you guys. This one is half square triangles that finish at 1 inch. So, but I noticed the page right before this is half square triangles that finished at 7/8 of an inch. So 7/8 of an inch is an odd size. It's an odd size to trim up. It's an odd size to cut things. And so you might enjoy paper piecing those instead. So that's another reason why you might enjoy paper piecing. And this one is made so that you could print, or you could cut a piece of fabric that's this size and sew on all the lines and then just trim it up at the end. And it's way less cutting because you do the same amount of cutting, I guess, but it's way less measured cutting because now once you sew it, you just cut on all the lines. And there's great instructions with triangulations, stuff like that. I really liked the tamed geese. I think I use this portion more than any other portion, but they've got a lot of different options and really, really great instructions. So, yeah, that's triangulations. That's what it is. That's what it's built for. Some of you may have it even and have had it. You bought it a long time ago. So find it. If you need, find a friend or find a neighbor or somebody who can help you get it off that CD, get it downloaded on your computer, and you can use it. So it's just a great tool of basic flying geese options. Okay. Then I print them on like a newsprint type paper. We have a couple of different options of paper that people like to put their paper piecing stuff on. Some people use vellum. Vellum is an interesting paper. It's kind of see-through. Oh, my nose is really itchy. I'm sorry. It's kind of see-through, and it folds kind of uniquely. I don't know. It just folds really crisply, I guess. That's not my particular favorite. My particular favorite is the newsprint type stuff. We have a newsprint at the store, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. I will link it for you. It's fabulous paper. It's wonderful paper to use. So, yeah. And then with this triangulations, you could just stick that in your printer and print off however many that you need. So, and the stuff that we have at the store is 8.5 by 11. Why can't I think of the name of the product? I will look it up. Okay. So my next tip for you is, you're going to want to cut, out your pattern. Okay. And actually I printed this one for you too. So this one is also a pattern that you could paper piece. It's got light showing through the back of it, doesn't it? So these angles and all these different things, it does look a little stripey because my printer was running out of ink, but this would be very difficult to paper piece. Okay. Now, a lot of the paper piecing patterns will have, and I hope you can see, oh gosh, they will have an extra dotted line out here just outside the pattern. That's your 1/4 inch seam allowance. So when you're trimming out your paper piecing pattern, cutting it out, I rough cut outside that dotted line, okay? I want to make sure to have that dotted line all the way around. So I'm just gonna use my paper scissors, not my fabric scissors. And this one I didn't print on newsprint, but if I was really using it, I would. But I'm going to just show you really, really rough cut. Sometimes I'll use I actually have a paper rotary cutter. That's where I put my old blades, is in my paper rotary cutter. So I just really roughly cut that outside that dotted line. Sometimes you'll have a paper piecing pattern that doesn't have the dotted line, so you need to make sure you understand if it has your seam allowance printed on the pattern or not. Sometimes they'll just assume that you'll just use your ruler and trim a 1/4 inch outside the pattern. So just understand what you're doing. So there we go. I've got this just really roughly trimmed out, and I've got it cut and ready to go. Now, triangulations, for example, they will tell you what size fabric to cut to go in each piece, okay? But some will not, and because they're odd sizes. So I wanted to tell you, okay, so what if you have a pattern that doesn't give you the size to cut out. So you would make an extra copy of your pattern, okay? And even if you bought it and it was already pre-printed, if you need to make an extra copy for your own personal use for this purpose, you are okay to do this. You're not going to sell the pattern. You're not even making it to do it again, but you're using it to create a pattern, okay? So let's just say I need to know how big to cut these middle sections. I would, on my extra copy, not the copy that I'm going to use to sew on, but my extra copy, and you could use this out of regular paper if you wanted. I'm going to go in and I'm going to cut on the actual lines of the pattern, okay? And I could cut on all of them, but for today's purpose, I'm just going to cut out one section. Okay. Okay, so now I've got E1 cut out, and it's a very odd size of pattern. You know, you're not going to find this on a ruler or something, okay? So then I would take this piece, I would lay it on my fabric. You could lay right side or wrong side. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it actually does matter, I guess I should say. You should lay it on the wrong side, okay? I'm going to give myself a lot of extra all the way around. Now, I might just pin that in place just so it doesn't pop around on me, okay? Okay, I've got this pinned in place. I've got all extra fabric all the way around. Now I'm going to take my fabric scissors and I'm going to cut a very generous seam allowance all the way around. Now, your initial cuts need to be more than 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, okay? You, as part of the paper piecing process, you are going to trim that 1/4 inch later on. But for initially, you're gonna just have a generous amount. So at least, I would say at least 3/8 of an inch all the way around. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I just very roughly cut that. So if you can see, now I could take this would be my E1 piece, and I could use that in my paper piecing. So that's if they don't give you a size to cut. A lot of fabric designers will give you a size to cut. And maybe make a little bit of a test block and know. Some people prefer more of a cutting variance initially than the pattern designer might have given you. So you may want to decide, oh, after making that test block, I think I'm going to cut my sizes that they tell me a little bit bigger. Or, holy cow, they gave me extra to cut. I don't need to cut any bigger. So it's totally up to you. A lot of times too, like for example, this one where it's a weird shape, they might have told you to just do a rectangle, and then you would have had excess fabric just here that you would have trimmed off in the process. So that is just something to know when you're cutting it, because they're not going to tell you to cut an odd shape. They might if it's a triangle or something that you can easily cut with a ruler. But if it's an odd shape, they're probably not going to give you that. They'll either give you a whole rectangle size, or they won't give you anything. And then you just cut however you want. So these are just little things that I've learned along the way of paper piecing. Again, some people really love this, some people don't love it. But I would encourage you to try it. If you haven't tried it in a little while, try it again. Now, there are different methods for paper piecing. I like to print out my patterns, and then I pre-fold all of my lines. And I think that's very, very helpful. So I will, for example, I will cut one of these out and I will pre-fold on all of my lines. And I will use this little ruler. I'm going to link this ruler. I've got this several years ago. Holy cow. My nose is so itchy. Oh gosh. And it's the outside, it's not the inside. I'm sorry. I got this little ruler. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. It's really kind of the perfect folding folding thing. Now, Fran loves to use a birthday card. She has a very special birthday card that a very special person gave to her many years ago, and she uses that birthday card and loves to use it. I have used this for a long time. I am looking for a piece of metal that just hits the right spot. I haven't found a piece of metal yet, because you don't want it too thin that it's like cutting you or cutting the fabric or cutting the, or not the fabric, the paper. But it can't be too thick either. So I'm on the hunt for that. I took a class from Judy Niemeyer, who is famous for her paper piecing patterns. And she, I don't know where that is right now. It's downstairs somewhere. I should have shown that to you guys. That would have been another paper piecing thing to show you. But she uses a piece of copper that's just beautiful. So anyway, this, I will link this. I just got this on Amazon. It's very inexpensive. It's just 1 inch by 6 inches, and it's just the perfect size. And I have several of them kind of laying around my sewing room. Some people like to use the outer quarter ruler. It's got kind of a beveled edge on the side. I don't particularly prefer that. Some people will actually paper piece on, why can't I think of the word? It's the paper that's got kind of the wax on it. What is it? It's not wax paper. Anyway, some people use that, and then they actually don't sew through the paper. That's a different method. And so what I was saying though is try it. If you haven't tried it in a while, try it again. Try a different method than you've learned before if you didn't like it before. Some people fold right on the line. That's what I do. Some people fold a 1/4 inch away, and then they just use scissors to trim. I trim with the outer quarter ruler. That's what I do. And when I do my teeny tiny stuff like this, I use an 1/8 ruler. And I also use a thinner thread when I use that as well. So I know I've given you a ton of information. I'm going to link this right now for you. Let's see if I can find right here. Copy link. There you go. So I'm linking that little ruler for you. Freezer paper. Thank you, Bonnie. I did want to show you this. This is something that we've gotten in the store. It's called Scrappy Triangles. I know it's backward for you. We've got this size, and we've also got a bigger size. And it's got a bunch of different paper piecing patterns that are all different. This is a fantastic scrap buster. Fantastic. I just got this, and my goal was to go through my scraps with this paper. And so I've had it sitting on my desk for I don't know how long, a couple months. Haven't had a chance to do it, but I have grand hopes of doing this. So, and there's this one. This is 3 inch finished. I think the next one is maybe 6 inch finished. I think this is really, really, really fun. So a lot of times you'll find, paper piecing stuff in these pads like this. There's cupcake mixes that are not 100% traditional paper piecing, but they can be really fun. You can make all sorts of different patterns with those. There's cupcake mixes and there's cake mixes. Those were put out by Moda several years ago. Again, just the accuracy that you get from paper piecing is lovely. So I have got to run, but I am so glad that you guys joined me today, and thanks so much. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will be back next week with Fran in the store, I promise. And I hope you all have a fun day. And it's a little bit blustery and cold here at my house today, so hopefully after I get back from the dentist with my kids, I'll be able to get some sewing done. Actually, what I really need to do is get some cleaning done. So I'm going to commit to you that I'm going to get some cleaning done in my sewing room today. So talk to you later, everybody. Have a great day. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.